Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a brief overview of Europa's business model. I will keep it short because I think many things have already been said. So, before venturing into that, I would like to give you figures that come from the experts in catastrophe insurance, which are quite telling. In Albania, for example, it is estimated by experts that a loss event that can occur once in 250 years will wipe out more than 70% of the gross domestic product of the country. In Bulgaria, this would be 18%, and in Macedonia, 56%. I don't have the figures here for Serbia because we are still evaluating the impact of the last event. Should this be considered a 100-year or a 250 years? It's not so easy to find out, but we'll get there. But what matters is not the comparison between these Eastern European countries. Look at the last country, Germany. There, a loss event of the magnitude that can occur in 250 years is 0.6% of the GDP. So I think it is fair to say, and this is the conclusion I put here in red, relatively speaking, Southeast Europe is highly vulnerable to natural disasters, much more than other more developed countries. And on top of that, we have climate change that is expected to worsen the region's exposure. So where do we stand? On the right side, you can see that, of course, natural events have an adverse impact, make an adverse impact on governments' budgets, because government is expected to come to rescue when something happens. But it also has a socio-economic implications on households. People who have their house damaged or destroyed and are not protected by insurance, they must reduce their other consumptions to get the funds somehow to rebuild the house. People who say that a natural catastrophe can boost the economy are probably wrong, because while financing the reconstruction, creating new jobs for that, of course they have to reduce their other consumptions. Except when they are insured, because then from a big pot of money that can be considered savings for the worst, money is released, pumped into the economy, and what is a very dramatic event can indeed boost the economy. For businesses, the effect goes like this. A business, of course, affected by a natural catastrophe will see its profits reduced. So will be the tax payments. And this exactly at the moment where government is in need of money to help the victims. We've heard that in the country there is a very low catastrophe insurance penetration. There's a lack of risk awareness, which is not unique in Eastern Europe. I think it's in most parts of the world. But positively speaking, seen from the insurance side, it's an enormous market growth potential. So if citizens of the member countries avail themselves of the offer we're making, they will not be caught unprotected anymore. But I've heard that not everybody has sufficient funds to do that. So let me just throw at you some other possibilities. I have no slides for that because it's highly unofficial what I'm telling you now. I could think that the government pays the insurance premium for the citizens. Not easy. It would probably need a slight tax increase. So the difference would be that the owners of homes would not pay in accordance with their exposure, but everybody, homeowner or not, would pay in line with his abilities, which means taxable income. Or government could commit to make good all the losses after a natural event. Again, a budget problem, but there are ways and means for government to ensure that in the way of parametric insurance covers, where the payout is determined by the occurrence of a certain event of a certain magnitude. So whatever possibilities, I think the risk model of Europa Re, the solution we supply, is flexible enough to absorb all these or to take into account all these possibilities. And it is our ambition to create the market infrastructure to develop this catastrophe and weather risk insurance for the households, SMEs, and farmers. So in short, Europa Reinsurance Facility is a Swiss-based specialty property catastrophe reinsurance company that provides, as we have already heard, a web-based underwriting platform and reinsurance capacity to accredited insurance partners in Southeast Europe. We are based, for the trivial information, based in Zug, Switzerland, and we have representative offices in each and every member country. We are supervised and licensed since January 1, 2014 by FINMA, the Swiss Financial Markets Supervisory Authority, and as already have been said, heavily supported by the World Bank, the European Union, UNISDR, the SECO, and GEF. Our vision is to increase the level of catastrophe insurance penetration amongst households, small and medium-sized enterprises, and farmers in the Southeast European region by providing web-based underwriting platform and reinsurance capacity to accredited Europa Reinsurance partners. We are educating consumers and businesses about their exposures to weather and catastrophe risk with a tool called Cat Monitor. You will hear more about this in the day. And we're also helping governments and insurance regulators to enact regulatory and policy reforms conducive to the development of affordable and sustainable catastrophe and weather risk markets. And I've heard that how difficult it is to get the insurance or reinsurance license in Switzerland. So I think as being a victim of this rigid law, we are well suitable to train other people to introduce an equally rigid law. I have now put Europa Re very much into the center of things, but this is probably not quite correct. When you look at this slide, the World Bank, if you ask Eugene Gorenko, for example, who is the most important here, it's the World Bank, because the idea has been developed there. Without the World Bank, no project. That's absolutely correct. If you ask someone from the donors, SECO or GEF, without them, Europa Re would have depleted its share capital already because of the cost of creating all the infrastructure. That this is not the case is due to these generous donations. So they are also very important. And when you look at the shareholders who have injected millions into our company to set it up and get it going, without the friendly help of all these governments, nothing would have happened. So they're equally important. What I'm trying to say with this is all participants in this complex project are very important, and we thank you very much for your support. So the end result, as you have seen, earthquake, residential and commercial policies, and then combined earthquake and flood, residential and commercial policies. You will notice that there is no isolated flood insurance policy available for practical reasons. It has already mentioned that an agricultural insurance cover has been set up. All these insurance covers are priced on actuarial knowledge, should therefore be sustainable, and are authorized or confirmed by the supervisory authorities of the respective countries. They are innovative. I just mentioned here claims handling, for example. You will hear more about that tomorrow. They are affordable because we keep the transaction costs low. They are sustainable because of the actuarial background. Easily accessible, can even become more easily accessible by a growing number of insurance partners. And as we are not an insurance company, and we do not want to compete with the local insurance market. They are sold through the local insurance market in place. So this is in a nutshell the business model. I think we should now continue with the program, otherwise we are falling behind. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.